will guide environment, and once that environmental code is reestablished, rural growers will have to be reimbursed for that aim. Before I conclude, I'd like to thank and I'd like to state how happy I'm to be here today with you. I'm at your total disposal. Thank you.
Agradecemos muito a participação do deputado Marcos Montes.
Thank you for your lecture. I'd like to make a very quick comment. We used a little bit more of our time talking. He spoke very well. And now I'd like to give the floor to Congressman Misty. First of all, the data that nothing advanced in terms of the Amazon region or rainforest. Internationally, there's not a common sense, because this is the reality. The second point is, in terms of environmental services and paying for those, among other suggestions that were highlighted. I'd like to give the floor to Deputy Mendes Thame. PSDB São Paulo is very well known, agronomist, mayor of the city, and the coordinator of the hydrographic basins committee with the rivers Capivari, Jundiaí, and so on, was a reference to the whole country in this process of organizing the hydro basins. He's one of the he's member of one of the most important commissions in the Congress, and always very committed with this reality, with the alcohol and sugar alcohol industry, with his participation. Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank the invitation to this opportunity to be here for some minutes debating environmental topics related to our country's agriculture and of all over the world. I'd like to greet the Minister, always a compass for all of us, Deputy Arnaldo Jardim, our colleagues, and he has been working in the Energy Commission, Deputy Marcos Montes, with an exceptional lecture, Kátia Abreu. I'd like to greet José Pilon, Manuel Hortolán, Luis Custódio, Roberto Holanda, Luciano Coutinho, and dear friends. When we talk about biofuels, the first idea that comes to mind is the environment. Biofuels are linked to agriculture, and farming has to do with the main topics of the humanity in the last few years. This is the lecture I had the opportunity to attend of a minister in Piracicaba. And I'd like to start by this: the 10 biggest problems for humanity in the next 50 years. Energy, water, food, the environment, poverty, education, democracy, population, diseases, as well as insecurity and terrorism all over the world. Out of those, 5 are connected to agriculture: and energy, water, food, environment, and poverty. Our performance in agricultural terms is going to define our capacity of facing these 5 topics. Let us start by the environment. Today, we have 2 problems, mortal problems, that are going to define not only the future, but also if we'll have a future in the next few years. The water scarcity as well as global warming. As far as the global warming is concerned, it started during the Industrial Revolution with the steam, and 90 years later we had the second Industrial Revolution with the discovery of the combustion engine and electric energy. Let us go back a little bit to the previous one, the steam engine. We started to burn wood and charcoal to power the locomotives and steam engines. During the Industrial Revolution, the countries that had charcoals had a great opportunity. However, then we have the second Industrial Revolution. Electric energy is considered the great discovery of humankind, and then we had the thermoelectrical power plants and burning firewood, coal, petroleum, gas, and then the same engine that powers cars was enhanced and was discovered during the second Industrial Revolution. Thus, we started to emit CO2. Up to the 60s, the Earth was able to absorb that. From the 60s on, after the Second World War, the curve surged, and we have a concentration of carbon in the atmosphere. This is an IPCC graph, and we can see the evolution of the Earth temperature. It grows with a statistical correlation that is impressive with the advance of the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. With the IPCC reports, we have a conclusion. In terms of the three scenarios, the one that shows that temperature, in order not to exceed 1.8 centigrade, in the next 100 years, we have to reduce emissions at least in 25% up to 2020 and 50% up to 2050. Taking into consideration the year of 1990, and many countries did not comply with the Kyoto Protocol with 5%. Actually, considering 2009, we're not talking about 25%. We're talking about 35% up to 2020 and almost 65% up to 2050. For that, we need a new energy revolution. The first revolution was of the steam, the second, the discovery of electricity and internal combustion engine. Now the third is to decarbonize the atmosphere that the oceans and the forests can absorb. If I'm emitting above this limit, I am accumulating CO2 more and more in the atmosphere, and it will exceed 1.8 centigrade, which does not break the resilience limit at which the system cannot regenerate automatically. How can I change that? It is a very difficult It's something very difficult to do that. And why? Nicholas Stern gave us the key to that the climate changes, in his opinion, the greatest market failure in the history of capitalism. The strength of the market fails. The hand of Adam Smith, where we have supply and demand with all the quantity, the optimal point, the optimal of Pareto, where everyone earn. Well, there are failures because they do not take into consideration side effects, only what is cost, and trying to minimize cost with better intakes and producing better and maximizing profits and the survival of companies. How can I face this? The only way is through the state, the initiative of the state. When I have great lectures about climate change and global warming, and then they say to consumers, you have to change your behavior, you have to turn off and not letting anything in standby. So the sum of all the individual efforts and the company will be insufficient if there is no decisive participation of the government. How do they work? Legislation and public investment. Let us give you an example of an intervention of the government. In the 30s, the example of the pro-alcohol was through a law obliging to blend alcohol with gasoline, incentive laws with subsidized financing for construction refineries, and subsidies to the production of alcohol. The cost of alcohol production was the double of the cost of gasoline. If we leave this to the forces of the market, we wouldn't have 1 liter of alcohol. It would be the double of the production cost of 1 liter of petrol. And finally, lower tax for alcohol-powered cars. Now, we have the mandatory law has been existing since today. A captive market was assured for the alcohol, and this the cost of production of alcohol barrel dropped from $105 in 1980 to $30 in 1998. This allows us to understand alcohol as a product that can be exported. Today, Brazil has 40%, the alcohol is 40% less expensive at the pump. 7 million vehicles are flexed, 26 billion liters of ethanol, and 25% blend of ethanol in gasoline. Over 50% of the consumption of gas in the country is replaced by ethanol produced by only 1% of the arable lands in Brazil. What are the advantages of alcohol? First, public health. We eliminated lead, which is cancerogenous. Reduction of greenhouse effect gases. 90% of these gases were reduced, and macroeconomic advantage. Each barrel of alcohol produced is less 1 barrel that I have to import, and 1 more to export. Cogeneration of electric energy, and putting away blackout and geopolitical security. We talked about reducing the dependence of the oil companies and also producing alcohol in many countries. And last but not least, and the higher externality of ethanol, which is creating jobs. When we have public policy, ethanol produces or has 6 externalities. It's very rare to find a public policy with so many advantages. Tropical countries can transform